smartphone from the App Store, Google Store, or Play Store. You can now use our Jambo Radio app on your smart mobile phone or device to contact us and also send us your song request. Now it's time for our weekly magazine show, the BB African Magazine.
Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning and it's BB on the radio. This is Benny Briggs McKinley, and I'll be with you for the next 2 hours. I hope everybody's relaxed. It's BB's African News Magazine show on Jambo Radio. You know what to do. Just use the 3 magic words: Jambo, Radio, and Scotland, and you will get to join us here. You can call us with your comments, your opinions, anything you have. The number is 0141 530 2787. 0141 530 2787, or you can tweet us. You can join us on the YouTube Live. You can join us on the Facebook Live. We're ready to hear your questions, add your regard your comments, and we're just here for you. We have a very fantastic show planned for you today. We have so many topics to get to. I hope we can get to all of them. Baron's here, everybody's here, so let's get started, guys. Before we get started, we're gonna ease into things a little bit with a great song, and the song is actually on point with the topics we have today. You'll see why. I'll explain why in a minute, and you'll see why. But to start us off, here is Ride With Me by Dusty and Stones, all the way from Swaziland, or Eswatini. Here's Ride With Me.
All alone. Maybe now I'll finally try just to say what's in my heart. There are times I try my best to lay down what's in my chest. I've tried to make a song. That's the way to say it best. Come on, ride with me to a place over the hill. That is where my love goes. That's the promise I made. Do you know I have a heart that's as big as the sky? There's a place just for you. Do you mind if I say, come on, ride with me to a place over the hill. That is where my love goes. That's a promise I made. You will love and never cry. That's a promise I made. Come on, ride with me to a place over the hill. That is where my love grows. You will love and never cry.
No, not really.
No. King.
I'm serious.
No, none at all. No, I'm gonna have to get you guys onto some country music. Maybe the old school ones, maybe not the new ones. But this song, this Ride With Me, is just a pin, because today we're going to be talking about Dusty and Stones actually later on in the show. But before we do that, do you either of you know what's going on in the Chagos Islands in Mauritius?
No?
Oh, come on. Where have you guys been over the last 48 hours?
Yeah, in Scotland.
All right, so we're going to do a story on what's happened in the Chagos Islands, but we need a bit of a history lesson as well. So bear with me, listeners. We're going to go on it's going to be a bit of a long story because it has many moving parts. But once I'm done with the story, we'll bring it all together. Everybody ready? All right, so first story of the day, okay? The UK gives sovereignty back of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. So last Thursday, October 3, one of the final pages in British colonial history was turned, with the United Kingdom's handover of the Chagos Islands, an isolated archipelago in the northern Indian Ocean. They gave it back to the Republic of Mauritius. The island state had been claiming sovereignty over this group of idyllic atolls for over 50 years. Now, in exchange for the return of these islands, Mauritius made a commitment to London to guarantee the presence of a military base leased by the UK to the US on the main Chagos atoll, Diego Garcia. The US Army stations warships and bombers there. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy said on Thursday that the agreement secures this vital military base for the future. It will strengthen our role in safeguarding global security, shut down any possibility of the Indian Ocean being used as a dangerous illegal migration route to the UK. And also guarantees our long-term relationship with Mauritius, a close Commonwealth partner. Okay, the UK will provide a package of financial support to Mauritius as well, including annual payments and infrastructure investments. Mauritius will also be able to begin a program of resettlement on the Chagos Islands, but not on Diego Garcia. So let's stop for a second. So people who had been chased out of the island will be allowed to go back eventually, resettlement, but not on the main island. So the main island is where they have the military base, the American military base, and the main island is called Diego Garcia, okay? So nobody can go back to Diego Garcia, but the other islands, they could begin to start thinking of going back. All right, let's continue. There, the UK will ensure operation of the military base for an initial period of 99 years. Sounds like the Hong Kong deal to me. Diego Garcia hosts asylum seekers from Sri Lanka who are expected to become the responsibility of Mauritius. All right, let's go back a bit into history. So in 1968, the UK, in the midst of dismantling its empire, granted independence to Mauritius, but refused to cede the Chagos Islands. The British and Americans even drove out 2,000 inhabitants, Chagosians, from the atolls to set up the Diego Garcia military base. At that time, they said, we don't have blue eyes, that's why we're being chased away, our treatment is inhuman. Some of these people expelled from their lands testified in the 1970s, and in fact, the BBC has lots of recordings of those testaments at that time. The Republic of Mauritius, which has a population of about 1.2 million, took the dispute to the international bodies between 2019 and 2021, and the International Court of Justice, the United Nations General Assembly, and the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea all recognized the validity of its territorial claims. So to put an end to the dispute that was tarnishing the UK's reputation, particularly with African countries, which Sunak's conservative government, remember that for later, guys, decided to enter into negotiations with Mauritius in November 2022. However, before then, in 2012, an international petition was launched on the White House We the People website in order to ask the White House in the United States to consider the Chagos case. So the petition at that time read, the US government must redress wrongs against Chagosians. For generations, the Chagosians lived on the Chagos archipelago in the Indian Ocean, when in the 1960s, the US and the UK governments expelled the Chagosians from their homes to allow the United States to build a military base on Diego Garcia. Facing social, cultural, and economic despair, the Chagosians now live as a marginalized community in Mauritius and Seychelles and have not been allowed to return home. The recent passing of the oldest member of the exiled population underscores the urgent need to improve the human rights of Chagosians. We cannot let others die without the opportunity to return home and obtain redress. The U.S. should provide relief to Chagosians in the form of resettlement to the outer Chagos Islands, employment, and compensation. Okay? In April that year, the petition received enough signatures to get a response from the White House, from the President's office, and an undated response from the White House said at that time, "Thank you for your petition regarding the former inhabitants of the Chagos Archipelago. The U.S. recognizes the British Indian Ocean territories, including the Chagos Archipelago, as a sovereign territory of the United Kingdom." Okay? United States appreciates the difficulties intrinsic to the issues raised by the Chagosian community. And it continued, "Today, the United States understands that the United Kingdom remains actively engaged with the Chagosian community, and the U.S. supports these efforts and the United Kingdom's continued engagement with this community. Thank you for taking the time to raise this important issue with us." So that was a non-response, was it not? 4 years later, in November 2016, the United Kingdom restated it would not permit Chagosians to return to the Chagos Archipelago. However, in recent years, the UK has faced rising diplomatic isolation over its claim to what it refers to as the British Indian Ocean Territory, with various United Nations bodies, including its top court and General Assembly, overwhelmingly siding with Mauritius and demanding the UK surrender what some have called its last colony in Africa. The government of Mauritius has long argued that it was illegally forced to give up the Chagos Islands in return for its own independence in 1968. At the time, the British government had already negotiated a secret deal with the US. Are you guys following all this?
Yes, we are.
Okay. At the time, the British government had already negotiated a secret deal with the US, agreeing to lease its largest atoll, Diego Garcia, for use as a military base. Britain later apologized for forcibly removing more than 2,000 islanders from the entire archipelago and promised to hand the islands to Mauritius when they were no longer needed for strategic purposes. But until recently, the UK insisted that Mauritius itself had no legitimate claim to the islands. And for decades, the tiny island nation of Mauritius struggled to win any serious international support on the issue. A handful of Chagos Islanders who had been forced to abandon their homes in the late 60s and 70s repeatedly took the British government to court. But it was only recently, when the international opinion began to shift, that things started to change. African nations began to speak with one voice on the issue, pushing the UK hard on the issue of decolonization. The Mauritius government went on the attack, accusing the UK of verbal threats. They waged, a war at the UN, in the courts, in the media, and even landed on one of the islands and planted a flag without British authorization. So the negotiations that brought about last Thursday's deal began under the previous government. Of course, after the deal was made, a backlash naturally happened. It was swift, with successive, the Tory leadership candidate, Tom Huguenot, argued that the deal had been negotiated against British interest, whatever that means, and it was disgraceful, and that such talks had begun under a conservative government. He called it a shameful retreat that leaves the Allies exposed. And then the former Foreign Secretary James Cleverly called it a weak deal. Anyway, Human Rights Watch said the deal would address the wrongs against the Chagosians of the past, but it looks like it will continue the crimes long into the future. There must be meaningful consultations with Chagosians, or the UK and the US, and now Mauritius will be responsible for a still ongoing colonial crime. Okay, but there can be no doubt in the historic significance of this moment. So, half a century or more after the UK relinquished control over almost all of its global empire, it's finally agreed to hand over one of its very last pieces. Okay, the remaining British overseas territories are Anguilla, Bermuda, British Antarctic Territory, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Falkland Islands, Gibraltar, Montserrat, Pitcairn, St Helena, Ascension, and South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands, Turks and Caicos. Sorry. There are also 2 sovereign bases on Cyprus under British jurisdiction. Okay, let's stop for a second. We'll come back to the rest. So, are you guys following this up so far?
Yeah, we are trying to keep up. It's a lot. We are trying to keep up.
So, back in the 60s, Britain was, of course, had an empire around the world, okay? Lots in Africa, South America, the Caribbean, all over the world, okay? And everybody was fighting for independence. Ghana and Africa started the first domino fall. Nigeria, Kenya, everybody won their independence, some peacefully, some, and all that. Mauritius at the time, so Mauritius is somewhere here. The Chagos Islands are a group of islands near Mauritius, okay? So it's close enough for Mauritius to say they have sovereignty over those islands. So Mauritius won their own independence in 1968. But the British, before they gave Mauritius independence, had already agreed with America to build a base there, a military base in the Indian Ocean, because it's a very good, is a strategic point, it's in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and then the ships can come and all of that, and they can build warships, naval ships, all of that. But the problem was there were humans living on these islands. Just a very inconvenient problem was that there were actual humans who were from there, and so America expelled them, okay, and Britain allowed it to happen. They told them they could go to the UK and settle there, they could go to Mauritius and settle there, and all of that. So for all these years, because they're small, they're a small number of people, they couldn't fight, they didn't have the might of the UK, they didn't have the might of America, they're just a few thousand people, okay, who were chased out of their homes. And not only did they chase them out of the main island, all the other islands as well, they refused for anyone to stay there, so they chased everybody away from those islands as well. And then they built their military base, and Britain allowed America to do that because it was a deal between them. And then for all these years, the Chagosians have been fighting. They wanted to go back home. Since the 70s, the 60s and 70s, they've been fighting to go back home. Those who have been born here, so some of the older ones have died off. Some of the ones have, their kids and grandkids have been born here, and they want to go home. Once in a while, they take them home, take them there to do an excursion a little bit. Oh, this is your island, and then, take them back. So it's been a very, very contentious matter, okay? And America has held fast all these years saying no. Now they're saying they were never going to let them go, but because the public perception has changed a bit, they've decided they would allow Mauritius have sovereignty, okay? But not the main island, not the island where the military base is. They still want to keep that one. So they can have the rest of the islands, but Diego Garcia will still remain under American and British rule because the base is there, at least for 99 years, okay?
Yeah.
Problem is, Chagosians are like, Mauritius and are not we don't belong to Mauritius. So not only, so Mauritius is fighting for it, but the Chagosians are saying, no, how can you make a deal with America, with UK, with Mauritius? You make a deal with everybody except the actual people who are from there. You didn't consult us. We're not part of the conversation, nothing. And now you've made a decision, handed our islands to Mauritius, and we're still in the UK, just hanging about in the UK and all over the world. And the way they're treated in Mauritius, the Chagosians, the ones who settled in Mauritius, they're treated as I can't even explain, like a minority of a minority. They're marginalized and everything, okay?
Yeah.
So it's been ongoing for over 50 years. This fight has been going on for 50 years. Okay, I'll come back to the other islands, but what do you guys think so far?
It's not new. It's not new. It's the same old occupied territories, but different methods, different ways anyway. But actually going to make a deal with another state entirely to a lease deal, and then not compensating the people or
involving them.
Yeah, involving them as well. That is so wrong.
But what do you think about them expelling them in the first place? Like, imagine being from a place and another country comes and expels you, just has the power to do that, just expel you from your home.
Yeah, frankly, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. Maybe you can't just go somewhere and then expel the people. What you could do is maybe actually pay like a rent. Like a rent to have your base somewhere on the island, not just occupy the whole island or a series of islands.
It's been a very secret. I'll come back to how secret it has been. What do you think?
It's definitely detriment detrimental to like expel the people from their own place. Like I'm saying, rent would be still a good option, but still.
I mean, the
should
fact that
definitely live on the island.
the thing is that they took permission from Britain to expel. So Americans
you
got
take
permission from
permission
Britain
from the place,
to
yeah.
expel the people who were from this, because Britain felt they owned, that was their territory, they owned
Yeah.
the Chagos Islands, so they could do whatever they wanted. Not taking permission from the people themselves, but from. I have somebody I know who goes to Mauritius very often for their holidays. It's a beautiful place. And she told me a couple of years ago that the way the Chagosians are treated in Mauritius is criminal. They're not seen as anything, they're treated so badly. Imagine one day being from somewhere, you get expelled, so now you have to take all your stuff and go to another country because you got expelled from your own country. You didn't leave on your own. It's not like you know how people leave to seek asylum and they're trying to. No, you liked where you were, you liked your home, and then someone came and told you to get out of your home, and now you're like wondering. They're like, and they're not many, so there are a few of them in the UK, a few of them in Mauritius, and the ones in Mauritius are treated apparently appallingly. They're not rated at all in that society at all. You know, they're seen as like beggars and just like, you know, imagine having that kind of identity, what it does to you, and all you want to do is go back home and you're not allowed because some big superpower says they have their base on your island. You can't come back, you can't come there. And this island is so secretive that people are not allowed to visit. Journalists are not allowed to go there. Only recently, some journalists, very, very recently, had been allowed, but there's a whole list of things. You can't do this, you can't film, no drones, no this. It's one of the most secretive places in the world, and Americans have been living there for 50 years. Like, Americans, the ones who live there at the base, some of them with their families, I'm sure. And then, you know, because they have warships that they can launch easily and all that. So just to have access and have accessibility, other people's lives have been completely ruined.
And that's not fair to the people. Right? That's not fair. I think it's time that this, the UK, the US, and the rest accept that they've made errors or done something bad in the past, and then try to
I think that's what they're trying to do, but they didn't do it without that pressure, that pressure from the other African countries had been talking kind of randomly, but when they all got together and the UN said it was wrong, and everybody says, and things that these Chagosians are very tenacious. They haven't stopped fighting this fight for 50 years. They could have settled in the UK and just forgotten about it, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that the way they were expelled really damaged their sense of well-being, because they could just, like, I think some of them have taken British citizenship and just, you know, let it go, but some of them have not, and these are the descendants of the original Chagosians. It also shows that when you're just small, you're very vulnerable, vulnerable. True. Because we're like India, for example, like 1 billion people. Where are you expelling them to? You know, like, where are they going? You know, so they would have probably made alternate arrangements and said, you know, settle the because it's just 2,000 people. Are like, get out of here, another country. You know. Anyway, so this opens the door to Argentina and the Falklands. you know what's good. You know the Falklands. You know all about the Falklands, right? Argentina. So Argentina has not let this go ever. So the Falkland Islands are a British territory right beside Argentina, and it's Britain, basically. It's Britain out there. And they've even fought a war about, there's a massive war that was fought in the 80s. Terrible lives were lost. Argentina just claimed it, and Britain was like, no, it's ours. And Argentina has its own name for the Falklands. Like, it's not called the Falklands in Argentina. They have their own name and everything. So now that the Chagos Islands have been given back to Mauritius, Argentina is like, how
about us?
You remember the Falklands? So let's read. Okay. So Argentina has vowed to gain full sovereignty of the Falkland Islands after the UK gave up control of the remote archipelago, that's the Chagos Island, in return for securing the future of a strategically important military base. The country's foreign minister, Diana Mondino, welcomed the step by Keir Starmer on Thursday towards ending the outdated practices after Britain returned the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. She promised concrete action to ensure that the Falklands, the British-controlled archipelago that Argentina calls Malvinas and claims as its own, are handed to Buenos Aires. And in an intervention that will fuel rising Tory criticism of the UK-Mauritius agreement and its perceived implications for other overseas territories, Mr. Mondino said, the long dispute between Britain and Mauritius came to a conclusion today, with Mauritians successfully regaining their territory of Chagos. We welcome this step in the right direction and the end to outdated practices. Following the path we've already taken with concrete actions and not empty rhetoric, we will recover sovereignty over our Malvinas Islands. The Malvinas were, are, and will always be Argentine.
Interesting.
Then in an earlier statement on Thursday, the Falklands governor, that's the British Falklands governor, Alison Blake, sought to reassure residents that Britain's commitment to the South Atlantic territory was unwavering. She said the historical context of the two territories were very different. Oh my God, this is so funny. It's not funny because lives were lost during the war, but this is, Argentina is like, oh, we're giving back islands? We're giving back islands? Can we have our islands back? Yeah. And they're not joking. Once in a while, Argentina just goes and causes trouble in the Falklands. Just like, they have never let it go that the Falklands are theirs. Never let it go. But Britain has said no. Because there are British people who live there. They're actual UK people who have lived there for generations. They have children, maybe even great-grandchildren at this point. Mm-hmm. And they consider themselves 100% British. Even though they live out there, the rules, the laws, the schooling system, everything is British. And to them, they're British, they're living in Britain, but overseas territory, how France and America have overseas territory and have citizenship and all that. They can come to UK whenever they want because it's their country, it's part of their country. It's like going from state to state, going from Glasgow to London to them.
Yeah.
So they have no intention of leaving, that's their home. And Argentina is like, we were here with our islands. You guys came from across the way, set up shop, and now you're saying it's yours? And this fight has been going on. What do you think? Who do you think owns the just for jokes? Who do you think should own the Falkland Islands?
Britain.
I wonder why. But what about you? So what do you think? If you're Argentina, right? This is all in your island. You had your people there and all that. This proximity to you. You have your name for it. You've known it as part of your history. And the Britain, of course, during colonial times, set up. There are people who live there now. They have their rules. They've taken over, and they've been there for 100 years at this point. Would you let it go?
Yeah. So I think they should give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Since in this case, Caesar is Argentina. just give the man what they
But
want.
what if they give the Falklands or Malvinas, according to Argentina, back to Argentina? What happens to the British people in the Falklands? They're British people, families, children, schools, businesses. They use the pound. It's Britain basically just out there.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going to have a problem. So. They can always do their administrative thing, maybe, or maybe pay Argentina for, the lease fee, so that you can have your people still live there for how long, how many years? Yeah.
But then if they do that, that would mean all the British lives that were lost during the Falkland War were for nothing. So that deal will be very unpopular. Very unpopular. They had their chance during that war. They had the chance. They went to war for it. Britain won. In fact, Thatcher did something really, really nasty. The submarine story.
Yeah.
What we can talk about. Really, really nasty. But they won. Okay, they played hardball and they won. So I think according to rules of law, rules of war, it's done. It's done. But Argentina is like, no, it's our territory. I get it, Argentina. But also,
I think that brings us to the question here.
Okay, and that's from?
From
Stephen from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So is it which other tiny little island is His Majesty still holding on to? And if little Mauritius can get back their land, how about Scotland?
you know the answer to that question. So the first question is, what are the islands? I think we listed out a lot of the islands, but
yeah.
I think the difference is those ones want to be British. They have no problem. They're very happy being British, Turks and Caicos and all of them. Unless they don't, and then they can fight. 'Cause like people like Bermuda, Bahamas, Jamaica, they've all removed the Queen or the King as the head of the head of state. They become republics recently.
Yeah.
You know the story we told about Christopher Columbus, and do you remember that? So those ones I think are happy to be British. The remaining ones, okay, but the Falklands are not. And they've made it clear over the decades that they're not. They want to be part of Argentina wants to be part, Malvinas to be part of them, but the Falklands is Britain is saying they're not letting go of the Falklands. So many to answer the question, many tiny islands. Second question was, so if Mauritius can get their island back, why not Scotland get independence? Yeah. We're working on it. We're working on it.
Right. I'm still here.
We're working on it. Do you agree with independence, Scottish independence? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was Stephen. That was questions from Stephen from Nigeria. If anybody has any more questions about this, if you have opinions about, the Chagos people and if Mauritius should even have sovereignty, and why weren't the Chagos people taken into the room when the deal was made, why do they keep being ignored, marginalized, just completely cut out of any deal that has to do with their future or their history? Why do you think this ongoing disrespect keeps on going? Do you think it's because they're few in numbers and so they have no political power, or do you think it's just the way the game is played? If you have any opinions about that, please call 0141 530 2787, 0141 530 2787, or you can always live tweet us. You can leave comment on the YouTube live, the Facebook live. We're very happy to read out your questions live on the air. All right, here is, while we all calm down from this very contentious topic, here is another country song, a bar song by Shaboozey, which was #1 on the American Billboard charts for a very, very long time. Here we go.
My baby born a Birkin. She's been telling me all night long. Gasoline and groceries, the list goes on and on. It's 9 to 5, ain't working. Why the hell do I work so hard? I can't worry about my problems. I can't take them when I'm gone. 1, here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Tell them bring another round, we need plenty more. 2 stepping on the table, she don't need a dance floor. Oh my, good lord. Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. I've been boozy since I left. I ain't changing for a check. Tell my mom I ain't forget. Woke up drunk at 10 a.m. We gon' do this shit again. Tell your girl to bring a friend. Oh Lord. 1, here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Tell them bring another round, we need plenty more. 2 stepping on the table, she don't need a dance floor. Oh my, good lord. Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. 1, here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. When it's last call and they kick us out the door. It's getting kinda late, but the ladies want some more.
Who doesn't like country? Baron. Right, so that was a bar song by Shaboozey, and unless you've lived under a rock for the last 1 year or so, you do not know that song. Otherwise, you do. He's actually Nigerian, but Nigerian American. And he, got his country antecedents, and he just loves it. And he did a couple of features on Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album, and I think he did a very, very good job. But people knew him long before he worked on Beyonce's Cowboy Carter, because he had this massive, massive monster hit, which of course is from Lil Homie Quan. No, not Lil Homie Quan. Who was it? Jay Quan. Tipsy, Tipsy, the Tipsy, the 2000s rap song Tipsy. Everybody in the club getting tipsy.
Okay, I can't.
Huge hit. Jaquan's only hit. So he takes that song and kind of countrifies it and adds some other elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys need to Tipsy. Anyway, I forgot you guys are babies. And when we're dancing to that song. Right, so now we're going to use that, and we're going to jump into the discussion of country music. And as an African, I'm on the rise in Africa, but we're going to use a band called Dusty and Stones, which you played earlier on, to kind of talk about it, okay? So with the success of Beyonce's country album, Cowboy Carter, and the rise of artists like Nigerian American singer Shaboozey, black country music is having a moment. Tapping into that energy is Dusty and Stones. Cousins Gazi Dusty Simileni and Linda Stones Misibi grew up working together on their grandparents' farm in the rolling southern hills before forming their own country music band. But rather than from the southern United States, the duo hails from Mohawk in the small African country of Eswatini, okay, formerly known as Swaziland, but they said no Swaziland. The British called it Swaziland. We are Eswatini. Oh, those British people just going around changing people's country names. So when Dusty's older brother introduced him to the music of Donny Williams and Dolly Parton, he recognized in their ballads about small town life a story like his own. The duo's grandfather was a pastor who played the harmonica in his youth and taught them the values of patience and hard work, key elements of a country star's upbringing. I just found myself at home in this music genre, Stone says. I've also had experiences I'd like to share with people. I feel like I'm able to share those things better through a country song. The pair play guitar and write their own songs, catering to local music tastes by making the music easy to dance to and singing in their native language of Iswati as well as English. But despite these differences, the duo insists their music is still firmly country. After getting a break at a local music festival, Dusty and Stones have gone on to receive international recognition, winning the Texas Sounds International Country Music Awards, Duo of the Year in 2017, and becoming the first Africans to claim that accolade. Since their win, another artist from Eswatini, Cleopatra Matula, has gone on to claim 3 awards at the same event. And more artists, including Zweli Masuku, Butaz Damlini, Cousin Y, and Alfred Gama, have entered the Swazi country music scene in recent years. And Dusty and Stones reached new heights in 2023 when they performed at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. That is a big deal. The pinnacle of success for country musicians. Okay, the duo have been playing for years, but the recognition comes with country music at an inflection point. With the release of Beyonce's Cowboy Carter, black country artists are clamoring to be heard for their contributions to the genre to be acknowledged. Black artists have influenced country music since its inception in early 20th century, emerging from a background of folk, blues, and country and gospel. Artists like Charlie Pride, whose career began in the 60s, and Ray Charles, with his country album Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music, are just 2 black musicians who have influenced the genre. Today, both African Americans and African musicians play country. The careers of artists like Willie Jones, Breland, and Rashid from the United States, and Esther Konkara from Kenya, and Ogak Oke of Nigeria testify to the presence of black artists in the genre. But however, despite their historic and current contributions, black country artists often say they face challenges in an industry that is predominantly white. A documentary about Dusty and Stone's experience at the 2017 Texas Awards captured the hostility they faced from a member of the local backing band. And numerous black country artists have come forward to share their experiences of racism in the industry. Dusty and Stones want to see more opportunities for country artists in Eswatini. At the same time, they want people to know that the country music already lives beyond the borders of the United States, especially in Africa, and that's nothing new. Country music is no longer just an American genre. That's where it started, but it's a global genre now. Okay, Dusty said, which I think is true. I've always loved country music. polarizing genre. Some people think it's rubbish, and some people think it's incredible, and there are not many people in the middle. Lachlan, you like
Yeah,
country
I like
music?
country music.
Do you have a favorite artist?
No.
No.
The thing with country is all artists, well, they sound very similar, so I don't really tell the difference.
Yeah, but it's a storytelling aspect of country music for me. And it's sometimes can be very melancholic, or sometimes it just tells a story of just town life or what's in your heart. It's pretty amazing.
The storytelling is.
After when Taylor Swift was cosplaying as a country artist, I did not find it funny at all. I'm like, you're a pop star. Just be a pop star. She's either as country, right? Country pop, country popish.
She's going everywhere.
Poppy country, and then she was gone completely 100% pop. I'm like, but she used country music to get her foot in.
Yeah.
And I'm very much into like real country. You have to be real country. So see her like, it really pissed me off it really upset me for many years. I was happy when she finally let it go and just became a full-on pop star. But yeah, they've been the superstars in the country music genre. It's a beautiful, beautiful genre. I don't know, it scares me sometimes. I feel as if they're so southern and conservative that maybe they might be on the other side of the political spectrum, but I know.
Yeah, you can't have it all.
Yeah, you can't have it all. I love you so much. Why do you want to kill me?
God knows they do a juror.
Yeah, country music is gorgeous. Right, from the sublime to the ridiculous now. Baron, you're gonna love this story. Oh, you're gonna love this story. It is the most ridiculous story. But yeah, I had. So, did you hear about the Ghanaian journalist who the Ghanaian king is fighting with?
Yes.
You heard about it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, so it's nothing new to you, Lachlan. This will be new to you, I'm sure. All right, let's talk about it. So, a row between a prominent journalist and a king has captivated many in Ghana. Oh my God. It began when Afia Poku criticized the Ashanti king's handling of tensions with other ethnic groups, the deference politicians show him, and expressed her frustration about the apparent supremacy of the Asante community in Ghana over other communities, okay? She says, even the president bowed to show respect to the king. Asante is not the whole of Ghana. If you're only thinking about Asante, they can amend the law so you can separate yourself from the rest of the country. The comments were not well received by the traditional ruler. The head of the Ashanti kingdom, Otumfo Nana Osei Tutu II, occupies a very powerful position in society and is considered hugely disrespectful to openly insult him or criticize him. His official title is Asantehene, but is also referred to as Inyame Kesi, which means greater God, and as such he's treated with maximum respect. Royal historian Osei Bonsu Sarfa Kantanka, who works for the Asantehene, told the press that anybody wanting to criticize the leader must follow specific steps. You can go through the Queen Mother. She's the only person who can rebuke him. If you don't go through the Queen Mother and you do it yourself, then you're in trouble. Ms. Osei also criticized Ms. Poku for saying that Otumfo Nana Osei Tutu II, who is in his 70s, was hard of hearing. If you use this word even on an ordinary person, he will not take it lightly, okay? Seeking to apologize for her comments, Ms. Poku last Monday went to Mania Palace in Kumasi, where the Asantehene lives. She dressed in black, was accompanied by elders, and she kneeled on the ground and begged for forgiveness. As is Ms. Gucci. Ms. Gucci was the person who interviewed her. The whole spectacle was filmed for TV, but Ms. Poku's apologies were rejected by representatives of the Ashanti traditional ruler, and she was asked to leave the palace. Take your cursed self and your troubles with you. Whatever comes your way in the future, deal with it on your own. Do not ever return here, this Asantehene told her, according to local media. This was despite her having already apologized on social media and live television. According to royal historians, it boils down to another failure to follow etiquette. Okay? In order for her apology to be accepted, the journalist should have appealed to the Agona traditional authority and taken along with her parents and the owners of the TV station that broadcast the critical remarks. If the apology were accepted, the Agona chief will then convey the message to the Asantehene and then set a date to take her to the Mania Palace for another apology. But if she follows the steps now, it may not be too late. Okay. Okay. Baron, you hold on. Lachlan, I want to hear from you first. What do you think about all this?
I'm completely lost.
So, she insulted she didn't insult the king. She criticized the king, okay? Because in Ghana, there are many tribes in Ghana. Many different tribes, many kingdoms of fun. But this historically, they're the ones who everybody kind of reveres and all of that, okay? And she criticized him. She says, why is everybody paying him so much respect? Why is the president bowing to him? They're only one kingdom. Why is the president bowing to him and all of that? And he did not take it lightly, because he's socialized and to be the greater god. Like, he takes himself very seriously. People take him very seriously. When he comes out wearing all his gold and everything, people are bowing to him. He's been king, okay? And when the British returned all the gold, he showed like, look, they've returned everything. And well, not everything, they returned some stuff. So yeah, he's taken very seriously. So she was in a lot of trouble, because it's a free world, free press. You can say what you want, but if you live in a society where some traditional rules still apply, then they might not have committed a crime, but socially you become like social poison.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not like she's in danger or she was going to be, executed or anything. No, but if the king is openly saying he didn't like that, then you're in trouble. So she went to apologize. She went, we're black and all that, but she went on her own with her, a few people from the TV station and that. Some elders wore black, and she thought that would solve the matter, which he normally could have, but he's petty like that. So he's like, no, take your cursed self with you, okay? Get out of here, So apparently she should have gone first, asked permission to apologize. They'll tell her, yes, come your parents. The owners of the TV station, she made the comments on the TV station, the owners of the TV station and everybody else. Then you come to apologize. Then we'll tell the king, and then he'll say yes or no. Then you come and apologize at another time again. That's what should have happened. So she can still do it, apparently. She's still allowed to do it. But I think this is kind of like raised her profile a little bit. Because maybe people who didn't know her probably know her now in Ghana.
It's a lot of steps to apologize.
It's a lot of steps. It's a lot of steps.
So what else do they want? Does she have to come with a few cows as well?
They'll tell her at the time. What does she do? She says he's hard of hearing. She says, why are they being so respectful to him? It should be the same for all the kingdoms. I don't see what she said that was so wrong.
It's the same old African thing about you can't ask questions, you can't criticize your leaders or your elders. When you do, you then see it as an insult. So
I get it, but I don't. What she said exactly was not like she didn't call him out of his name. She was not disrespectful. She was critical.
Yeah. Not
disrespectful. But now she has to kneel down and bow down and apologize. It's a bit strange. And if he's a king and he knows he's a king, and he just, let it bow and roll off your shoulders. But I guess, listen, I think we're a bit too insular in the way we think, because, here you can criticize King Charles if all you want and nobody says anything. However, back in the day in Britain, if you said anything about the king, you were gone. In Thailand today, you cannot criticize the Thai king. No way. It's impossible. And other countries like that who have a king system, who are not like in the West, you can't go around just criticizing the king. So she's lucky she's not in physical danger. But if that's the rule of the land, then that's the rule of the land.
Well, it's sometimes it's not even the king. Let's look at Nigeria. If you
like the governor.
Yeah, you just.
Yeah, it's not like they're gonna kill. You could get thrown in jail, actually.
Yeah, you get thrown in jail.
For pettiness. Yeah, if they're trying to be petty. So it's freedom of speech, but it's not real. It's not real. It's an illusion.
After speech.
But let's not overjudge them, because right here in the UK, there was 100 years ago, things were completely different when it came to the monarchy. It was impossible. And so on and so things have moved on, but there was a time. Can you criticize the king of Saudi Arabia?
Probably not.
Maybe the Sheikh of Dubai, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia doesn't play like that. They don't play
I
like
don't
that.
think you can criticize the song.
Or it's going to be off with his hand.
I think hand is you get off lucky with your hand. Right, guys. Okay, so yeah, I wish Afia the best of luck, and I think if she's gone this far to do the fake apology, she can probably go further and do a proper one. According to the rules of what they say, we'll keep a tiny eye, not a big eye, a tiny eye on the story. And if there are any updates, I'll let you guys know at another time. Okay. All right. Before we head into part 2, here is the new song by Kiss Daniel, and that is Marhaba. Enjoy, guys.
Uncle Good, level. Oh my God. Just a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of cigarette. I'm already singing bird, I'm already continental, international. I'm killing it, you know I put the fire. Now maybe the follow come, couple up solo one. Pressure no fi catch me, fully loaded cash. When they see me coming, they say with it bad, you loud, you loud, you loud, you loud. You want to tend to be vado, olori ibu ko lo vado. Tori mo kun lo mo ku to, ko je ko da mo mo lekun. Bottom already a crazy nigga. Black on black, Elea. Mash it back on Shelea. Energy like a star, something like a bastard. The Fulani like Shokoto, Podjoli called Jakoto. Open up with Marapa, I think with Taliban. She say I fuck with so many boys like they know and bro that Timini. What up Timini? What you do infinity? Yeah, I can like what I just come on, just see my down. I'm orthopedic, you need to lie down, back up and your back. Only the leg or to lock, as you know be on boy. I'm already calling another. I shall woo boy, Percocet, go down there, gobble it, oink oink.
So is that us finishing part 1? Right, we are going to take you on a journey now, because we're going to enter part 2 of the BB's African. What's that show called? What's my show called?
BB's African News Magazine Show.
Thank you so much. And we're going to go on a journey, because now it's time for our African travel segment, and I want everybody to just get ready for this, because we're going to South Africa again. But not only are we going to South Africa, we're going to Johannesburg. But not only are we going to Johannesburg, we're going to the most luxurious estates in Johannesburg. Let's see what's out there. So I decided to do something a bit different. Rather than a holiday destination, I'm thinking if you want to move to South Africa, you want to move to Johannesburg, you want to see how the other half live, and maybe you have some money to invest, you want to buy some property out there in Johannesburg, let's see what you can get for your money. Okay, so here's our friend Stephen Nduku again, and he decided to go investigate, and let's find out what he has to say. Here are the most luxurious neighborhoods in Johannesburg. Enjoy.
With mining as a top foreign exchange earner, over $400 billion in GDP.
Johannesburg, considered one of the most richest cities in Africa.
The richest square mile in Africa, home to more than 15,000 USD millionaires, the highest concentration anywhere on the African continent. This city is home to some of the most luxurious neighborhoods, with appreciation rate climbing as high as 15% annually in property resale.
My name is Svia from the channel Let's Pop In. Today I'm here to show Stephen the top 5 most luxurious estates in and around Johannesburg.
Some of these neighborhoods have been named in the New World's Wealth Top 10 Prime Estates to live on planet Earth, and also among the best estates in Africa by the African Property Awards.
If you are looking at visiting Johannesburg to buy real estate, to own real estate, and you're curious as to what the top 5 neighborhoods or estate looks like, this video is going to educate you in that regard, all right?
Number 5 on the list is the Serengeti Lifestyle Estate.
We are currently at Serengeti Estate. It's about 15 kilometers to the airport, making it ideal for those quick travels. In terms of the types of people that live in this estate, it's a breakaway from that city life for people looking for that more quiet, tranquil lifestyle.
Set inside 300 hectares of a conservation area and home to Jack Nicklaus' signature golf course, this estate is ideal for those who want to enjoy the finer things of life in a laid-back atmosphere.
Most of the people that would buy properties here, they are retirees, people that want to like settle, need like an environment for the children, enough space, and also have like a golfing experience as well.
The estate offers a full range of facilities, from a state-of-the-art gym, a pro shop, and a 180-seater restaurant.
On top of the lifestyle that they offer here at Serengeti Estate, they even have Kuro School, which is very accessible as it's just adjacent to the estate. The estate does offer that holistic lifestyle that you get with these contemporary estates, offering very much dining experiences, golfing and leisure.
Property price within the estate starts from $51,000 for a vacant plot up to $500,000 for a 5-bedroom on 3,000 square meters. The most expensive listing here in the estate is a 5-bedroom villa under $1 million. The fourth most luxurious neighborhood on the countdown is the exclusive Eye of Africa Golf and Residential Estate.
Hey guys, my name is Taylor Davidson. I'm the co-founder of Stoic Realty based here in Eye of Africa Golf Estate. Just to talk a little bit about the estate, we are about 800 hectares of mixed-use land in the estate, everything from 1-bedroom apartments all the way up to some of the bigger houses that have been showcased here.
This estate is divided into 17 clusters across 800 hectares of flourishing indigenous grassland and a conservation area also featuring an award-winning Greg Norman Design Championship golf course.
The estate is very close to Joburg CBD, about 17 kilometers away from the city, so you get the nice kind of blend of the country living, estate living, as well as being close enough to the city that it's not inconvenient. There's a whole host of facilities, everything from tennis courts, basketball courts, sauna, gym, 2 restaurants, community swimming pool, obviously the renowned Greg Norman golf course, as well as all of the golf practice facilities that come with that, and then lots of hiking trails, walking trails, and mountain bike tracks.
A range of property investment in a stunning lifestyle estate includes freehold stands from $64,000 right up to around $900,000 for a 6-bedroom home.
5-bedroom house, you're probably looking something in the range of about 7 million rand. The most expensive property is the one that we showcased, that is priced around 35 million rand. That is the most expensive house in the estate at the moment. It is also up for sale.
The third most luxurious neighborhood on the countdown is the Waterfall Country Estate.
So we're currently finding ourselves at Waterfall Country Estate, which is in Waterfall. As you can see, like we by the entrance where there's like a roundabout.
Conveniently situated approximately 10,000 kilometers from Sandton, the 2,200 hectares Waterfall Estate is the largest development of its kind in Southern Africa.
So the caliber of people that you'd find in and around Waterfall, and specifically in the estate, would probably get middle to high income individuals, maybe families or young professionals which are sort of climbing up that sort of corporate ladder.
Once again, the properties on here have greenery and it's super secured. Even making this video right now, we like the security people looking at us right now. So there's a massive there's several entrances into the estate, which gives the residents some sense of like security.
Residents have very little reason to leave this estate, with top schools, a Netcare hospital, clubhouse, gym, shopping center, all found within the estate.
I really love the homes, the style of architecture that they used here. It's a very modern, like dynamic lines. For 2-bedroom, standard 2-bedroom, when you're looking at sales, it can sort of get to that 1.5 to 2 million rand mark. And then going up to your more homes, standalone homes, those 4-bedroom, 5-bedrooms, that varies, I think, in terms of the architecture and how lavish that house is. You get 15, 20, 30, and I think some of them even go up to 40.
The most expensive listing here is at 68 million rand. The second most luxurious gated estate and one of the most popular in Johannesburg, South Africa, is the Stain City.
Yeah, so as an estate, very luxurious, very high-end homes here. You get some of the most beautiful homes that you get in Johannesburg. But another nice thing which they're doing now is increasing the sort of the lifestyle aspect, having more of a clubhouse and also smaller apartments.
Featuring 2,000 acres of lush indigenous parkland, this award-winning lifestyle estate is renowned for its world-class facilities, including the Nicholas Design Championship Golf Course with a clubhouse and an equestrian center.
The caliber of people that you'd find at Stain City really does vary. You get, because you have the one-bedroom apartments up until the sort of 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom homes, the caliber of people really does vary. You get the working professionals or the new professionals entering that corporate world, but you also do get those more managerial, executive people working in sort of your multinational companies.
I can see like massive properties on here, and the architecture honestly is quite upscale.
So the selling point about Stain City is that all-inclusive lifestyle that you have. You have a residential aspect, and you also have sort of a golf course and a nature conservative area, and now they're building more of a lifestyle center with the new clubhouse sort of area, and then you even have a school there. Really, it's about building a whole lifestyle center around one estate, so in a way you actually never have to live there.
Stain City is considered the largest estate in the country in terms of land size. It was first launched in 2015, and as of 2024, over 1,000 residents already call Stain City home.
And the roads here is excellent. It's kind of like sitting on a hill. Security is top notch. So you're going to have most of the country's elite live here. Unlike in Cape Town, you're going to find a lot of black wealthy millionaires and billionaires here as well as expatriates and foreigners.
So the types of properties that you'll find in Stain City vary from your classic sort of 2-bedroom apartment, which is a good offering for more of like your affordable options in inverted commas, which could go for closer to 2 million. In terms of your standalone homes, that's your imagination can fly in terms of that. You get your 15 million, 20 million, 30 million, up until I'm sure your 50 millions you can get there. But I think in terms of like your houses, your average could be a 15 million, 10 million home.
The most exclusive and extremely expensive gated estate in and around Johannesburg and in South Africa at large is the Waterfall Equestrian Residential Development in Waterfall City. It is tailored for the super wealthy, a living standard only 1% of the population is privileged to enjoy.
We're currently at the Waterfall Equestrian Estate. This estate is one of the most exclusive estates in Johannesburg. This estate is tailor-made to the super wealthy, with the stands ranging from 8,000 square meters to 10,000 square meters. There's about 120 plots in the estate.
Secondary resales have already seen unprecedented return on its original investment, up to 15% in the past 5 years to be exact.
This whole development was voted the best development in Africa at the African Property Awards in 2009, so very well-known estate. The properties do range from a wide variety from 18 million up until 100 million.
So before visiting Johannesburg, we've always heard about like the Stain City as how like it's the most like luxurious of them all. But having visited the Waterfall Equestrian Estate, I can tell you we're talking about Beverly Hills type of infrastructure, and you know the way the super rich like to build their properties on like massive land space. As Siberia mentioned, we're talking about 8,000 square meters, 10,000 square meters of land space. You know, the type of properties where you have driveway leading into your property. Those are the kind of houses you're going to find on here.
This secured lifestyle estate comprises of 120 stands of 8,000 square meters up to 10,000 square meters each, a perfect location to build a dream mansion. The most expensive resale in the Waterfall Equestrian Estate can demand upwards of $7 million.
From a rental perspective, you could be expecting 80,000 rands per month up until 150,000 rands per month.
The estate is great, the architecture is great. I think it's going to house like South Africa's most wealthy people here, because traveling all through South Africa, I haven't seen a neighborhood that has this type of architecture, that has this much land space. I mean, if you go to Cape Town and you visit Clifton, which is like the top neighborhood on there, you notice like the properties are not this gigantic. So coming right here to Johannesburg, looking at this kind of properties, I'm like, yo, now this is how the big boys like to live right here.
In terms of this estate, I have to say this is my favorite estate in the entire of Joburg, just because of the way it's tailored. It's tailored to the super wealthy, very exclusive. So in terms of the top 5, I'd rate it as number 1 in Johannesburg.
There's some other high-end neighborhoods worth mentioning that I couldn't pay a visit to during my stay in Johannesburg, and the first would be Bellator, then Sandhurst, and then Houston Estate. They're among the wealthiest suburbs, almost in the same category with the Waterfall Equestrian Estate. The properties are sitting on huge plots with asking price upwards of $700,000.
Right, okay, that was different for our African travel, wasn't it? So, Lachlan, when are we coming to visit your estate? They use the word estate like 17,000 times. You guys, what do you think about the idea of having such luxurious estates in Johannesburg?
Yeah, it really it depends on how much you have and what you're doing with it. So,
I mean, I would have thought Cape Town was where you think all the wealthy people in South Africa live. So Johannesburg having such huge competition for them, that was a bit surprising to me.
Yeah, and again, the developers will just keep developing wherever they don't see a limit. If it's a nice environment, yeah, they'll just go in and then.
But I think the difference is in Cape Town. I think most of the wealthy people are all white, almost exclusively white. But he was saying in Johannesburg you can find a lot of black millionaires, black wealthy people who live like this. So you see more diverse faces, I think.
Yeah.
Look, what do you think? Have you been to South Africa?
No, I haven't been to South Africa.
It's a beautiful, beautiful country. It's
definitely on the list.
Yeah,
of places.
it's an interesting country.
Would you like to go?
And for Nigerians as well.
Probably for the food.
And the music.
And the
incredible music.
Most of the food.
Enjoy, my dear South Africans. Yeah, very lovely to see. We'll take you guys somewhere else, some other far-flung part of Africa on the next Africa travel segment. But for now, why not end our South African travel segment with a South African song? So here is Makosi by Songline Experiment. Enjoy. could listen to that all day. Baron, I'm going to play the second half of that song on the next music break, yeah? Right, guys, welcome back to BB's African News Magazine show on Jambo Radio. Look at it, I got it that time. Look at that. Right, it's now time for this week's African Spotlight. Oh my God, you are going to love today's story. It is absolutely incredible. Absolutely inspiring. Okay, every week we focus on a good news story or interesting story from the diaspora or from the continent on someone doing amazing things in the community. This is beyond amazing. Today we are shining our spotlight on a particularly exceptional lady, Liberian American business maven Adenah Bayoh. Okay, Baron, get those drum rolls ready because there are going to be many in this story, so just get them ready. Adenah escaped the Liberian Civil War as a child to become the owner of 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 IHOP restaurants in America and several other businesses. So let's find out more. Adenah Bayoh's emotional success story is one that will put a smile on your face and motivate you to do more with less. Her journey as a refugee began at the age of 9 when one night she was suddenly awakened by her grandmother after rebels entered their Liberian village. After packing a few bags, they quickly escaped and walked more than 200 miles until they reached Sierra Leone. Even harder than abandoning the farmland, restaurant, and real estate her grandmother owned was leaving Visikinde at the Liberian border. She had to leave her grandmother because she couldn't move. The aging matriarch could not walk and was pushed through the steamy jungle in a wheelbarrow until it broke. When we left my grandmother, I was devastated. I was so sad. I remember counting marks and plotting my journey back. After about 2 weeks, the courageous child returned to Liberia to get her grandmother and returned to the refugee camp. Can we have a drum roll for that one, please? She was 9 years old and she came back to get her grandma. She was very shocked, but from then on, she made sure she never left my side. She would always say, "Oh my God, you're a dangerous little girl." Okay, the entrepreneur's parents had been in America at that time, earning money for their children's schooling when the Civil War broke out in their homeland. She was 13 when her father finally got her and her brother out of Sierra Leone and into the US. Coming from a war-zone country where her opportunities and privileges were taken away from her, Adenah was hungry for success and used all the opportunities that America provided her despite its setbacks. The teenage refugee never let being several grades behind in school stop her from seizing opportunities. When I got here, I was a busybody. I did everything. I started my first job at McDonald's at 13 years old. I worked there throughout all of high school. When I went to college, I worked. I took 18 to 21 credits some semesters, but I always kept a job. I kept about 2 or 3 jobs. The young immigrant applied her work ethic with boldness and began building her financial future with a business management degree from Farley-Dixon University in New Jersey, and she saved $27,000 from her numerous jobs. I was able to buy a 3-family house in Iverton. I used my $27,000 for a down payment and got approved for an FHA loan. Can I get another drum roll, please? She's just finished university at this point, and she had saved $27,000 from all her different jobs and got a house, a 3-bedroom house, and started renting it out and getting rent. Working in banking, collecting rent, and owning a beauty shop put Bayoh in a position to take a brave leap into franchise ownership. When Bayoh first met the Greek owner of a rundown diner in Iverton, the smirk on his face when she told him she wanted to buy his place fueled her determination to make it happen. Okay? When I gave him my $25,000, he jacked up the price to $1.2 million when it should have sold for about $850,000 to $900,000. A lot of banks wouldn't finance me. I think the reason for that was they hadn't seen an Adenah before. They hadn't seen someone like me who wanted to pull off what I wanted to do. At least 7 banks turned Bayoh down before a business associate helped her secure a GE Capital Franchise Finance Corporation loan. So she wanted to buy the IHOP, right? She had her rent. She was getting rent from her housing. She had a job at the bank. She had a beauty store. She saved enough to make a down payment on a very old IHOP to buy it as a franchise. And the guy didn't want to sell it to her, so he raised the price. And she managed to get the money to buy it. And now she owns 4 IHOP franchises, including one in downtown Newark. Her unwavering belief in investing in a black community pushed her past every obstacle. Her flagship franchise received several awards in the first few years of operation. She says, I think these communities where I'm from suffer from disinvestment. Our communities are run down not because of us. They are run down because we lack proper resources. It's a tale of black history in this country. For me, when I see us, I see opportunity, I see perseverance, I see strength. In 2017, she and the famous Zadie Smith launched their first Cornbread Farm to Soul. Cornbread for me is a pact I'm making to have a greater impact in the restaurant space. If you look at the state of food right now, there's a national chain for every genre of food, but none around soul food. The fourth, so now she has 4 locations of Cornbread, and that's set to open in Montclair this year. The fast casual eatery serves farm-to-table American soul food, and the restaurant's meat, fish, and produce come from local and family-owned producers and shops. Then in 2021, she opened Brick City Vegan, a fast casual place serving plant-based comfort food in downtown Newark. A second location will now join Cornbread in Montclair. Her restaurants and real estate portfolio provide close to 300 jobs. Who is this woman? Who is she? She has 4 Cornbread. She has 2 Brick City Vegan. She has 4 IHOPs. We're still counting her businesses, by the way. She's one human, one person. I value my people greatly. The restaurateur credits the ability to recognize and nurture talent for much of her success as a business owner. I believe I'm only as good as the people who work for me, so I pour into them and support them. Once you inspire your people to understand that you're not just selling food, you're selling heart, they too can do whatever they put their minds to doing. Bayoh lives by the standards that form the foundation of her restaurant ventures: love, give, serve, work, and strive. She affirms that all of her eateries are profitable concepts operated by women. My view is that I want some little girl somewhere or some woman somewhere to see what I'm doing and be inspired by it. My goal is always for the greater good and to inspire. Bayoh teaches her 12-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter, who she named after her grandmother, that they come from greatness. I look at my grandmother, who was not educated, had no resources, and came from a remote place in Africa with no running water. Yet she got up every day and built something despite everything happening in the world. Furthermore, she views the accomplishments of African Americans as equally uplifting. She names Madam C.J. Walker, the first female millionaire in America, and Shirley Chisholm, the first black female elected to the U.S. Congress, among her role models. When I look at the women that came before me that had not even a quarter of the resources I have today, I'm not deterred by anybody. I will keep pushing. I will keep putting one foot forward, because stopping is not an option, she declares. I'm grateful I came here with an open heart and an open mind. I'm proud that I was able to integrate myself into the African American community. They've been so generous with me with time and everything, and I'm grateful for that. For me, escaping civil war gave me what I call grit. It sharpened my instincts. It made me navigate some really inhuman conditions. As you overcome obstacles and tear down barriers to survive, it gives you survival instincts forever, and no one can stop God's plans. I'm grateful for my glass half full mentality. I'm grateful that I always see the good in people no matter what. I have an optimistic spirit that no one can break, because for so long I reminded myself that if I could wake up on the other side of the day, everything will be okay, and I still believe that. Just unreal.
It's amazing.
Unreal. Like, she was 9 years old when it happened. She was sleeping, and he had to get up and leave everything behind. Her grandmother had a restaurant, a farm, and something else, some businesses, and they had to leave everything and live in a refugee camp for years. At least she was lucky her parents were in the States at the time and they could arrange. But it took another, 7 years for her parents to get her out? No, 4 years to get her to the States. So she had to live in a refugee camp for 4 years. I can't imagine what her parents went through thinking about their child and their children in a camp.
Yeah.
And then she got to the States, and every single opportunity she got, she took it. And she went further and further and further. Lachlan, what do you think about this story?
It's brilliant.
Absolutely. Why does she stop? Why? I think one IHOP restaurant is enough to set you up for life. Like, if you do a good job with it, you know, you have staff, you have money coming in, because people are always going to go to IHOP. That's enough for you to like say, you know what? Yeah, I can live on this. So what drives her to have 4 and then start the cornbread, the soul food business, and then the vegan business, and then she has rental properties? What do you think drives her?
Determination.
Purpose as well.
Yeah.
You could say money. That's
money
that's
is
a
right,
lazy answer. We could say money, because
but she works with women, people who are disenfranchised. She brings them into the business. 300 jobs, 300. A refugee girl that left her village in the middle of the night is in the States employing 300 people. This is not usual, guys. This is not a usual story. It's absolutely incredible. And why do you think? Why do you think a lot of immigrants go to America and do better than the local American people, especially minority people?
It's just that you come from somewhere where you don't see a lot of opportunities, and then you move somewhere else, and then you're like, okay, so you could actually do this here. Then you just grab those opportunities. You see things that you can use to your advantage.
But those same things are there. Why don't the local? I'm not saying the local people are not successful, but when you see the differences in maybe mindset, you know, do you think people are like just content with what they have and just go to a job, come back, they're fine? But if you come in as an immigrant, maybe and see those opportunities, you take them. You're more inclined to take them.
Yeah, I think it's also comfort levels. Someone that's born in a comfortable environment will just be comfortable just living there and being, you know, this is what you've seen. You see, okay, you've seen your parents and your uncles, your family members do this. That's the normal for you. So you just do the same thing. You're comfortable. But someone that comes from outside comes and sees, okay, so I can actually get this through these means. I'll try it, and then tries it. It works, and that doesn't mean that others didn't work. So, in a situation now, she's just telling the ones that work. She has probably not said the ones that didn't work. So it goes both ways. Some will work, some will not work. So you just utilizing your opportunities.
Lachlan, what do you think?
I think the same as him, with opportunity being a major factor in how like these people get to the stage they're at. As like most like Americans and stuff, they're kind of comfy with their situation. They don't really see the opportunity as.
But it's the kind of country where everyone is like they're always trying to make a deal in that country, and they're always trying the next opportunity, the next business, the next this. But this, like for example, the black community, the black Americans, not the black Africans. So a lot of their communities are like you said, run down, and there's not a lot of investment in it. And then you see someone come from the outside and starts investing in it. But why aren't the people who are from there? Like, I think they're historically disadvantaged. So sometimes it's easy to just say, "Oh, nobody comes to the hood. Nobody's doing that for us. So let's just there's nothing to fight for." You know, it's because you hear about all these amazing immigrant stories, especially in America.
Yeah.
All this Nigerian best this, Kenyan best that. Chinese best this, and they all came from somewhere else, and they've made this incredible achievements. And then you hear of the local community who are from there originally, and you know they're still. So of course, there's some success stories, of course, but then on the whole, they seem to be struggling more or less, achieving less than the immigrants who are coming in. It's a conundrum.
It's definitely a mindset.
Something there. Also, it could be like, okay, so there's an argument to be made that the people who come as refugees are those who as immigrants are those who can afford to come, who can pay from their countries to go over and all that. They have investment they're coming with. But this is not the story here. She came as a refugee, not as just an immigrant trying to make it, as a refugee with, you know, and she just worked, just grit that she worked really hard and all her determination to overcome her obstacles that put her in this position. So that story of, the Africans who are coming and doing well are coming from wealthy homes anyway, that's why they're doing better than us, that doesn't really hold water. If you compare it with her story.
Her story is definitely extraordinary.
That's the word, extraordinary. Okay, questions for the week. Number 1. Does Bayoh's story of escaping a dangerous war and becoming a successful businesswoman through determination inspire you? I had nothing to say. That was the only thing that came to my mind. And number 2, does personal trauma or strife build character? Okay, questions for the day. Number 1, does Adenah Bayoh's story of escaping a dangerous war and becoming a successful businesswoman through determination inspire you? And number 2, does personal trauma or strife build character? Let's leave number 1. Number 2, guys, what do you think about number 2? It shouldn't be.
No.
But I think it does.
Yeah.
All experience definitely builds up your character. Doesn't matter if it's a bad or a good experience. It's experience and it has to happen.
That's a good way. That's a good way to look at it.
How you deal with it. I think we have a call.
Okay, if you have a call coming through, could you put it through?
Yeah, in a minute.
All right. So we have a call coming through. I think we're going to talk about Adenah's story.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh,
Who am I speaking with?
Hey, speaking to George.
Hey, George. How are you? Are you asking us a question or are you giving an opinion?
I'm giving an opinion by your son.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes. I think the latter question is accurate in the context of her story.
Mm-hmm.
You could. Her story, you can either be a very broken person,
mm-hmm.
or you can be a very resilient person,
mm-hmm.
based on how you want to move in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's about her ability to change her story, rather than just
the opportunities available.
Opportunity, yes. You can have opportunity, but you can't. There are people that have opportunities, but they don't know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're saying about like the Americans, the people in America that were born and live in America, they can see the opportunities. They have the opportunity, but the opportunities for them is what they've grown up to see. But if you come from somewhere like all the other people that have been successful in the American dream, it's just based on the fact that they've looked at things from outside of the system, and that for me, it's the whole point. So it's about the individual ability to.
So do you think, as a child, she was already somebody who had character and had determination? She was that kind of child and became that kind of teenager and just kept going with that. So the opportunity just fit her personality.
Yeah, exactly. She had that because even just starting what you said about she. At the age of 9,
going back
to look after her grandma. It's the signs of her, that were there.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There is a person.
I agree.
She was destined for greatness, and that's what she's now.
Yes.
She's manifested that.
I agree. I think I agree with that. Thank you very much for your call.
Very
Thank
good
you.
Show, by the way.
Thank you for your call. Bye. All right, I think you agree with that. I think your personality also plays in, and then when your personality and your character and the opportunities come together, then you're unstoppable. All right. Well, if you keep calling in, guys, we'll love to hear from you, your opinions, your questions, anything on this topic or any of the other topics we've talked about. And while we're waiting for your calls, here is one of my absolute favorite artists, Kefi, and this song is called Woruno.
When you think of all His goodness in your life, you just want to raise up your hands and give Him glory. The way I feel now, that's just what I want to do. Are you ready, Keith?
Uh-huh.
Come on.
When I think about your goodness in my life, my soul can't help but to sing your praises. Today I have so many testimonies, no apologies, none I got without him. Brought me from a mighty, mighty long way, made me see a brighter day. I just wanna praise him in my dialect. I say, again, never run out, just to work another. Pick your cat away, mama sing on that, where you red, where you I used to read my ABCs, I used to count my 1, 2, 3s, none I could have done without him. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all the ground is sinking sand. I just feel like praising him in my dialect. I say, again, never run out, just to work on. Pick your cat away, mama sing on that, where you red.
When I look around me, I'm amazed by what I see. I count my blessings one by one. Every morning, every night, you never cease to hold me tight. You pick me up when I'm down. Yeah. You're the reason that I see. You're the reason that I breathe. You're the reason that I hear. You're the reason I'm alive. I'll give you glory. Glory. I give you glory. Glory.
That was the late, great, amazing Kefi with Woruno. And yeah, she had a larger-than-life personality, voice. She was tiny in stature, but large in voice and everything else. We just loved her, and her music will live forever. Right, instead of our Have You Heard segment this week, we're going to be doing a tribute to the one and only Dikembe Mutombo, who you must have heard died over the week, last week. So we're going to be doing a tribute to him because he was one of our greats in Africa, and we cannot let his passing just go untalked about. So, Baron, if you'll put a picture of him on the screen, that would be great. Thank you. Basketball Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo, whose towering presence dominated basketball on and off the court, has died from brain cancer at 58. Dikembe Mutombo was simply larger than life. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said in a statement last week, On the court, he was one of the greatest shot blockers and defensive players in the history of the NBA, and off the floor, he poured his heart and soul into helping others. Helped by his 7'2" frame, I'll say that again, 7'2" frame, Mutombo ended his career second on the NBA's all-time list for blocked shots. He was also an 8-time All-Star and 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in an 18-season NBA career that lasted from 1991 to 2009. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015, and his number was retired by two of his teams, the Atlanta Hawks and the Denver Nuggets. He also played for the Houston Rockets, Philadelphia 76ers, New York Knicks, and the then New Jersey Nets. Mutombo was also known for his humanitarian work, particularly with the Special Olympics and in his birthplace of the DRC, where his Dikembe Mutombo Foundation focused on improving health and quality of life in that country. It's a sad day, especially for us Africans, and really the whole world, because other than what he's accomplished on the basketball court, I think he was even better off the court, 76ers center Joel Embiid said last week. He's done a lot of great things. He did a lot of great things for a lot of people. He was a role model of mine. Dikembe's number 55 jersey was later retired by the Atlanta Hawks. And former 76ers president Daryl Morey, who worked with Dikembe during their time together with the Houston Rockets, was tearful when he spoke about his friend on Monday. There aren't many guys like him, Morey said, just a great human being. When I was a rookie general manager in the league, my first chance in Houston, he was someone I went to all the time. His accomplishments on the court, we don't need to talk about too much. Just an amazing human being for what he did off the court for Africa. Rest in peace, Dikembe. Mutombo, who was also a naturalized U.S. citizen, served on a number of boards, including the Special Olympics International, the CDC Foundation, and the National Board for the U.S. Fund for UNICEF, where he was able to make use of the 9 languages he spoke. There was nobody more qualified than Dikembe to serve as the NBA's first global ambassador. He was a humanitarian at his core. He loved the game of basketball, what it could do to make a positive impact on communities, especially in his native Democratic Republic of Congo and across the continent of Africa. I had the privilege of traveling with the world with Dikembe and seeing firsthand how his generosity and compassion uplifted people. He was always accessible at NBA events over the years with his infectious smile, deep booming voice, and signature finger wag that endeared him to the basketball fans of every generation. Okay, and that's from Adam Silver. My dad was a hero because he simply cared, Ryan Mutombo wrote on Media, his son. He remains the purest heart I have ever known. Okay, Mutombo's family first revealed he was undergoing treatment for brain cancer 2 years ago. He had 3 children with his wife Rose, and the couple adopted another 4 children. His son Ryan, who is also 7'2", currently plays college basketball at Georgia Tech, and after 3 seasons at Georgetown, his father's alma mater. The NBA says he died surrounded by his family. Okay, so that was Dikembe Mutombo. Did you know him, guys? He was quite famous because of his height.
I've heard of him before.
He used to be very thin, very, very thin, and very, very tall. So he was quite striking because he was super skinny and extremely tall. So you could see him coming from a mile away. Most NBA players are like, 6'7", 6'8", 6'5", 6'6", and all that. But 7'2" is like, that's crazy. And being that thin as well, But he was apparently he was very kind, very, very caring. And after he retired, even before he retired, he was working with charities and all that. After he retired, he just went for it full on. So 58 is very, very young, very, very young. You made your mark, and then you have so much left to do. You made your mark career-wise, but you have so much left to do. All his foundations, all the boards he sat on, his children, his family. There was so much of life left to live for him. But cancer is, yeah. I wish his family the best, and I pray, for the strength for them to go through this, and hopefully his name will live, and they'll continue the work he did for him. Okay, Hope I brought the mood down. People like him are very few and far between. So when they leave, you get scared that there's nobody to fill the space that they've left, you know? It's quite a scary thought to think all these amazing people are leaving, and then who are those who are filling their boots? Right. So to celebrate him, here is the song Olorioko by Infinity.
I have seen the future, though I'm not a prophet. In the book of Revelation, there is warning for the nations. He that has an ear, let him hear. Yes. What the Spirit is saying.
That is the absolute classic Olorioko by Infinity. Like, it doesn't get better than that, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And now, drumroll please, it is time for our favorite segment of the show, A Moment in African History. Right, guys, in today's history class, yes, I'm the teacher, I'm the professor, because there's no video today. It's going to be my voice. You can listen to my voice talking about a historical moment in African history. We're going to be finding out about the 3 Cleopatra needles. Do you know about them, Baron?
No, I don't.
You probably recognize them when you see them, but we'll talk about them, what they are, where they are, and how these 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks ended up in New York, London, and Paris. Okay.
I won't be surprised. I know.
Same story. Let's go. Okay. So ancient Egypt. Oh, guys, I forgot to tell you. Before I start, relax, grab a cup of tea, lean back. We're going to tell a story of how these 3 obelisks came to be. Okay. So ancient Egypt has been the main reference point when interpreting the past and experience of Africa. It's famous for many things, including its tall, stone-cut towers known as obelisks. In the kingdom of Aksum, these vertical structures were carved out of a single stone and were basically tombstones that were built to mark graves and underground burial chambers. Ancient Egyptians called obelisk tekunu and they were also used to tell time in the past. The pinnacles were basically covered in gold to reflect the sunlight. Can we have a picture of them on the screen? Historians say that obelisks represented immortality and eternity, and their long structure helped connect the heavens and the earth. Currently, Cleopatra's Needles is the name given to 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks, one in New York, one in London, and one in Paris. However, they don't all come from one Egyptian site. The obelisks in New York and London are carved out of red granite from the quarries of Aswan, and the 2 stones were commissioned by Pharaoh Thutmose III for the Temple of the Sun in Heliopolis near modern-day Cairo, each weighing about 240 tons and 68 feet tall. In 12 BCE, when the Romans discovered the 2 obelisks, both had toppled and were lying partially buried in the sand. The Romans subsequently transported the obelisks to Alexandria and installed them at an entrance to a temple dedicated to Julius Caesar. The temple had been built by Cleopatra, and this is probably why the obelisk came to be called Cleopatra's Needles. The obelisk in Paris, however, is made of yellow granite and was originally located just outside Luxor Temple in Egypt. Weighing over 250 tons and 75 feet tall, its twin is still at the Luxor Temple. On the whole, the 3 obelisks are inscribed with hieroglyphics celebrating Ramses II and his military victories. So how did the 3 end up in New York, London, and Paris? Well, the Cleopatra's Needle in New York was gifted to the United States by Khedive Ismail Pasha in a commemoration of the opening of the Suez Canal. Ancient origins write that Khedive gave the obelisk to the U.S. Consul General station in Cairo as a gift to the United States, showing appreciation for the U.S. being neutral when France and Great Britain sought to gain control of the Egyptian government. From Alexandria, the obelisk was moved to New York. It took more than a year to move the vertical structure. In January 1881, it was finally installed in Central Park. And in 2011, New York City began a 3-year project to conserve the obelisk after the then Minister of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, Zahi Hawass, warned that it will take the obelisk back if it's not properly taken care of. The obelisk in London is located in the Victoria Embankment on the Thames River, near the Golden Jubilee Bridge. Egypt's ruler at the time, Muhammad Ali, gave away the piece of antiquity to the United Kingdom in 1819 to commemorate the British victories at the Battle of the Nile in 1789 and the Battle of Alexandria in 1801. Even though the British government was honored by the gift, it was not ready to spend so much money to have it transported to England. And so for more than 5 decades, the obelisk remained in Alexandria until 1877, when anatomist Sir William James Erasmus Wilson paid for it to be transported to England. It was a harrowing journey by sea. According to one report, the obelisk left Alexandria on the 21st of September, encased in an iron cylinder nicknamed the Cleopatra, which included a stern and rudders and was towed along by the Olga ship. However, when it was over halfway to its destination, a storm in the Bay of Biscay put the crew of the Cleopatra in danger. The initial rescue led to 6 crew members drowning, but eventually it made its way to England. The Cleopatra didn't founder and was discovered drifting in the bay a few days later and eventually retrieved by the Fitzmaurice and towed to the Ferrol Harbour in northwest Spain. Another steamship, the Anglia, was then sent back to tow the obelisk to Gravesend, Kent. And finally, on September 12, 1878, the obelisk was erected by the Thames with 2 Sphinx statues guarding it. A German bomb during the First World War nearly destroyed the obelisk, damaging the pedestal of the structure and a pedestal of sphinxes. Authorities did not repair the damage but put in place a plaque to remember what happened. Okay, now the one in Paris, also known as the Luxor obelisk, is in the center of the Place de la Concorde in Paris, France. Constructed about 3,000 years ago, the obelisk was a gift from Muhammad Ali, again, to the French in 1833. The French paid for it to be moved to Paris. King Louis Philippe then erected it at the Place de la Concorde in 1836. And according to ancient origins, the obelisk was placed on a pedestal that had originally been made to support a statue of King Louis the 16th on horseback. However, the statue was destroyed in the Revolution of 1830, In 1998, the French government also added a gold leaf capstone to the obelisk, as the actual golden capstone of the structure was stolen in the 6th century BC. Okay. So, what do you guys think? Nice gifts to give Europeans and the Americans?
Yeah, really nice gifts.
I like that they gave the French. French paid for it quickly. Shoppers got it transported, no problem. They gave the Americans. They paid for it, got it transported, no problem. They gifted the British. They're like, huh? No, we have no money. Left it for 50 years. 50 years until a British guy, just a random, explorer said, yeah, I'll pay for it. And then it gets transported. 3 different countries. People die on the way.
Wow.
Like, what a story to get it to London. Anyway, it got to London eventually. So one is on by the Thames, one is in Central Park in New York, and one is in Place de la Concorde, which is right in the middle of Paris itself. So yeah, and then they stole the golden dome of the one in Paris in the 6th century. To be fair, 600 years ago. To be fair, okay. So it's not like it was stolen.
It would have been very valuable.
It would have been it made somebody very, very wealthy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But so the Egyptians were just putting gold on top of stuff, just cause. Wow.
We had a lot of it.
Right, guys. I hope you like that story. I thought we'd keep it light today, but yeah, because we go to Paris and you see it and you're like, what is this doing here? But now we know. Now we know why it's here. It wasn't stolen, quote unquote, like a lot of the other things. It was
a gift.
Gifted. Yes, it was gifted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only thing is that we on the other side we don't get the gift. We're always giving.
Yeah. And did they ask the populace for the gifted this thing? So.
Yeah.
Anyway. And the Americans were like, recently, 10 years ago, they're like, if you don't take care of the one in New York, we're taking it back. All right, guys, that was our show. That's our show for the day. We don't have time for our language quiz. We might have time for one proverb, just one, okay?
All right.
Quick one.
Yeah.
All right. Be better at the beginning than at the end. Be better at the beginning than at the end.
Is it put your best foot forward? Yeah.
Whatever it means. Proverbs are like that. Whatever it means to you, it means to you.
Yeah.
So that's the word for the week. Be better at the beginning than at the end. And with that, I thank Lachlan for being here. I thank Baron for being here. I thank all you lovely listeners who were listening to us. I thank George for phoning in. I thank Stephen for his questions.
Yeah.
And everybody else who has been listening, thank you very much. That's our show. We'll be back next week with more music, history, politics, and everything in between. Until then, stay proudly African. And to play us out, here is Moa Dukwe by Paul Play Dyro. Enjoy. See you next week.